Hey everybody, this is Aquarius Maximus. I thought I'd go ahead and start this broadcast now, a little bit earlier than 1 o'clock like I scheduled, because this is my first broadcast on YouTube. Anyway, this is a real exciting time because we're in the shadow of Venus Retrograde. So I was like, I got to get this Venus Retrograde broadcast going because I'm seeing so many Venus Retrograde related things going on around us. This whole big thing with Venus rule Cardi B, which I'm going to talk about as well, and the so-called feud going on with Nicki Minaj is something I'm going to look into with the cards. I'm going to look into the card of Venus retrograde. And if some of you guys don't know what cardology is the premise that every day has a unique energy signature. Now, if we didn't have the playing cards that were so illustriously given to us by the gypsies, or brought through the Egyptians, then we would be looking at the daily energy as a quantified number, which would be very difficult to remember. Could you imagine if you had to remember some long string of numbers to represent a daily energy? So it's great that we have these cards because the cards each card quantifies and gives life to that particular energy. And when you're born on a day, you become the representative of that energy, and you also become a representative of that card. So the cards are so great to be able to, once you learn them, that is, to be able to look at them and to be able to determine what the energy of a particular day is going to be and what the energy surrounding a person is going to be. So that is what cardology is, and that's what we're going to be looking at when we look at Venus retrograde and when we actually look at Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. Now, the card of Venus retrograde is the Three of Diamonds, and we're going to look into the Three of Diamonds because Venus turns retrograde on a Three of Diamonds day, which is October 6th. Venus will be retrograde in Scorpio, causing havoc, some really, really deep havoc in the areas of Scorpio. And we're going to discuss that as well. Matter of fact, we'll probably kick off with that. Venus is in this detriment of Scorpio, so they say. I'm a little biased to that because I am a Scorpio and my Venus is natally a Scorpio. And so is Cardi B's Venus, what I heard. I haven't looked at her natal chart yet, but I heard she also has Venus in Scorpio. So by a planet being at detriment means it doesn't like to be there. It's kind of not so much of its planetary-like self. So Venus is about being social, warm, receptive, relationships, enjoyment, etc. And Scorpio is the dark side, as they like to say it, of death and rebirth. And nobody likes to die. And I think it's almost just as painful to be reborn as well. So this Venus retrograde is going to be quite interesting, to say the least, because we're coming off the heels of a Mars retrograde, which took place over the summer, alongside the Saturn retrograde and the Mercury retrograde and all these retrogrades, So now here comes Venus retrograde coming to join the party. And Venus only goes retrograde every 2 years. So it's not like something that happens all the time. So when it happens, it's really, really, really important. So for me, when I'm looking at Venus retrograde and I'm talking about surviving Venus retrograde, I'm talking about watching your conduct and your character. That's going to be a big thing that's going to get you through, especially with the retrograde through Scorpio. Because Scorpio can definitely break some rules when it comes to conduct, when it comes to sexual relations, when it comes to deep, deep intimacy. Rules can be broken, with Scorpio, because that's what change is about. Change is about breaking rules, because without breaking rules, there would be no change. Think about it. If you did the same thing all the time and you follow the rules, there wouldn't be no need for a transformation, would it? At least according to some people. But Earth is the planet of change. That's what we're all here for. We're not here to live a static life. We're here to live life. And as a matter of fact, we're here to live our best life. And Venus is one of the planets that can help us do that. So when a planet goes retrograde, it goes inner. It takes you on the inside. It goes into the shadow world. It goes into your deep recesses of your shadow, your karma, your stuff, only the things that you know, and makes you become aware of those things, makes you have to face those things head on and have to face the consequences associated with your decisions. So surviving Venus retrograde is going to be all about your decisions. It's going to be all about the choices that you make. You know what I mean? And it's okay to make a mistake, but you have to be able to own up to the results of that mistake. You know what I mean? You got to be able to face the consequences. And that's what all of these retrogrades are kind of help you to become a stronger person, to enable you to face consequences. You know what I mean? Consequences don't have to be all bad. And you guys, I can't see your chat. So if you ask me questions, I don't know if some of you might be trying to ask me questions during this time. I'm on Google Hangouts, and I see that YouTube also has a chat. I don't have the big old setup. It's just a regular setup. So if you have questions for me, I'm mainly on Facebook. Post a question, tag me, inbox me, something. I do spend time on Instagram. Inbox me a question, and I'll definitely try to deal with it. I definitely like to do my readings on Instagram and on Facebook so that people can ask me questions and address them. So that's something that I'm going to do by the end of the week. So if any questions come up for you during this broadcast, save it for the end of the week. Save it for my free readings, and I'll try to get into it. Now, I can't get too deep into your life. Understand that can't be done on social media. So if you want a reading, you can visit my website and you can book a reading. If you get a relationship reading, you have to get a relationship reading. You can't get a regular reading because I'm reading for two people, you and that other person. So those readings will be available, and perhaps in another day or two, I'll be putting up a coupon to save on a relationship reading in honor of Venus retrograde. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see the wonderful card of Venus retrograde, which is the Three of Diamonds. Three of Diamonds is dope, y'all. Most of the people in the entertainment industry are Three of Diamonds. You have Janet Jackson, you have Puffy, you have so many Three of Diamonds in the entertainment world. However, Donald Trump is also a Three of Diamonds. So when you're looking at the card of the retrograde and you want to see what kind of people are going to be deeply affected, obviously our illustrious president is going to be deeply affected by this Venus retrograde. So maybe he'll have a shift as due to some events that happens to him. He'll have a shift in some of his values and what he finds important. And there may be some changes as a result to that, because the Three of Diamonds is a card that has transformation. It's a big transformation card, and we'll look at that card right now and we'll kind of go over it. So remember, on August 6th, and we're already in a shadow. So some of you guys may already be feeling the effects of Venus retrograde. I know for me personally, I've already felt the effects. People have popped up from my past, and I've had a softened stance for them. You know what I mean? And as a woman, it's going to be even more impactful because, quote unquote, women are ruled by Venus, right? So you may find yourself softening up to people, like no matter how much you fight it, and you look at that person, you're like, any other time, you're like, I'm not trying to hear it. I don't want to hear no old stuff. But then they come with the reminiscent stuff, and you start feeling, that, what a feeling. And that's the feeling you got to run away from. So we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about some tips in regards to that. Because definitely the card of the Venus retrograde is about boundaries. So the theme is going to be about boundaries. And for women, it's going to be about defending your boundaries at all costs, throwing up your walls. Because guess what? If that person is supposed to be with you, they're going to be with you after the retrograde is over. They're not going to go away. You know what I mean? So the Venus retrograde is a good time to test. It's a good time to test them to see if they can endure. And if they fall away, then they weren't for you. And then the real person is coming. You know what I mean? So that's one of the tips I'm already giving you. One of the tips is boundaries. And one of the tips is test the spirit. Keep that in mind. Test the spirit. You want to throw up all kinds of tests and challenges Be a lady, like, you know, from the back in the days when somebody had to seriously court you. You know what I mean? Like, really prove his worth. And I'm talking to the ladies in regards to that because I am a little biased because I'm a lady. In terms of the gentleman, um, this is about your self worth as well, like how you feel about yourself. Like, do you feel like, and I'm reading from the Mars, you guys, and I'm going to go to the cards and show you why. But do you feel like you're worthy of something good? You know what I mean? What are you ready for a relationship? Are you ready to be the quote unquote best man? You know what I mean? So this is in terms of if you're dealing with relationship issues. Are you ready to be that person? And that's a big question. And all of these questions are inner questions. That's why Venus retrograde and any other kind of retrograde deals with inner stuff. These are all questions that you have to ask yourself. Has nothing to do with anybody on the outside. And believe you me, Mercury is going to step in the mix and throw some tricks your way, both women and men. You know what I mean? And you got to look at it like a game because life is a game and you want to play to win. So you don't want to get caught up in the pitfalls and the tricks, you know? So this is a time for huge discipline on your part, especially during Venus retrograde. A huge, tremendous amount of self-discipline, and we'll get into why. So I'm going to share my screen, you guys. Every time I do this, I wind up sharing the wrong screen. I get to see all my business. But here you go. So what I have up, you guys, is the spread of Venus retrograde. And one of the things that I'm going to be releasing is access to being able to get your spread through my site. I don't have access available to this right now, but I do have access. Hold on, actually, I'm not presenting my screen. I do actually have access to, hold on, you guys. Okay. I do have access to being able to get your spread by just going to my website, and that's www.aquariusmaximus.com, scrolling down, putting in your birth date, and you'll be able to get your life spread. So, and this is not a class that's going to go into teaching you what that's all about. You're going to have to definitely take my course in order to do that. And I also will be posting videos going into different cards. But this is going to go into why the direction of Venus retrograde, what is going to happen. And I don't want you guys to be afraid because guess what? The destiny card for the 3 of diamonds meaning what is ultimately going to end at is the 4 of clubs, which is satisfaction and contentment. So everything is going to work out no matter what. Like, this isn't going to be a horrible Venus retrograde. Things are going to work out, but it's definitely going to be challenging. And more so if you are not aware of your boundaries or if you're not putting up your boundaries, which is going to be a big thing. So anyway, as you guys can see, the 3 of diamonds has an ace of spades and Mercury. And the ace of spades is the death and rebirth, and that is transformation in Mercury. So transformation is going to come quick and swift in Venus retrograde. During this Venus retrograde, you're definitely going to have a lot of changes, a lot of transformations in your life, because there are 2 big transforming cards. You have the ace of spades, and you also have the 5 of spades in Jupiter. And the 5 of spades is disruption. It's like they call it the earthquake card, and it's in Jupiter. So I wouldn't be surprised if during this Venus retrograde, sometime between October and November, there isn't a big major earthquake because the earthquake card is in the middle of this. However, this also represents a shift in your philosophy. You know what I mean? So look at these cards as advice to what you should be doing during this Venus retrograde. So if the earthquake card or the shift is in Jupiter, you need to be making a big shift in your philosophy. And your philosophy is how you see things. Broaden your viewpoint. You know what I mean? See things from other perspective. Get out and learn different perspectives. Broaden your viewpoint. Travel. That's a big travel card. You know what I mean? So some of you may take your first trip ever because of that five of spades, your first adventure. You will be feeling very adventurous during this Venus retrograde. And unfortunately, if you don't have your boundaries up, which is represented by the seven of hearts and Venus, then you could potentially get hurt. You know what I mean? So, and that hurt comes in the form of the Jack of Hearts and Saturn and the Nine of Clubs and Uranus. Now, the Nine of Clubs, you guys, is the card of depression. Some people are going to be forced to deal with their depression, to deal with how they view things, to deal with how they live their life in regards to that. They're going to have to look for other ways because Uranus is alternative ways. They're going to have to look for alternative ways to deal with their depression. You know what I mean? So some of you light workers out there, this is going to be a real busy season for you because the Nine of Clubs is also the teacher. And you guys are going to be out there teaching spiritual wisdom to people, whether it's via things like, you know, YouTube or whatever. But if you do decide to get out and teach spiritual wisdom, then you'll be very well received, more shockingly so, because people are going to need it. You know what I mean? That Jack of Hearts and Saturn is, there's going to be people looking for saviors. There's going to be people, and not to say that that's a good thing. We'll talk about that. But there's going to be people looking for somebody to save them. There are going to be people who are looking for somebody to come and save them in a relationship. And if that's the case, there are going to be people out there who are trying to fulfill that role. And this is not a great time for that because this is a time for self-reflection. This is not a time for getting out and trying to save somebody. This is a time for looking inside yourself and see what you can do to save yourself in your situation. You know what I mean? So beware of, of Captain Saberho, quote unquote. Captain Saber, you know what? Beware of those types during this time because this is a very, very volatile time and they could let you set you up for a huge and major disappointment, ultimately. However, this card has a Two of Hearts and Pluto, which is like the soulmate. Like, so somewhere within this time, you may actually meet someone who does turn out to be a real soulmate, especially if you're ready, because Pluto deals with readiness, like psychological readiness. That means that you've dealt with some of your deep, deep, deep issues. You've been by yourself for a while and you're ready. You know what I mean? So some of you guys may actually have somebody that comes through to them, like a soulmate, etc. Especially women, because it has that real strong King of Hearts next to it. You know, so there may be the one, you may meet the one. However, you're going to want to take your time because this is Venus retrograde. You're not going to want to jump into any type of situation or commitment. You know what I mean? Allow this person, allow yourself to get to know these people. So, Aquarius, what is it good to do during Venus retrograde? If you got like, if love is just a no-no, what can you do? Well, if you look at these cards, money jumps out of these cards. And I'm not talking about money in terms of spending. I'm talking about money in terms of creating, because the Three of Diamonds is the card of creative money, creative opportunities. New opportunities are going to bust out, y'all. So I don't know if any of you been having a dry spell, especially because of Mars retrograde and Saturn retrograde, and things are just now starting to pick up for you. They're likely going to get way more busy and way crazier come October. It is going to be a very, very busy time. There's travel, as I said. There's new opportunities, new jobs, new everything. But you need to fall back on your value system, which is that Seven of Diamonds. You don't want to be just taking everything just because like you feel like you need money. Because the Seven of Diamonds can also represent poverty consciousness. Like, I'm going to take anything because I need money. I need to make money. I'm going to take this job. I need to make money. I'm going to do this. I'm going to sell myself out because I need money. And that is going to be a definite no-no. That is going to be something that ultimately bites you in the butt and makes you very disappointed about whatever it is you signed up to do. because the nine of clubs in Uranus is disappointment in work. It can be disappointment in work. It can also lead to fulfillment in work because it's next to the nine of spades in Neptune. So some of you may actually complete something that creates a dream come true situation for yourself. You know what I mean? So if there's something you've been working on, it is definitely advisable that you keep plugging through this retrograde, because on the other side could be rewards beyond whatever you imagine. So you have a lot of money cards in this spread. This is a money spread. Like, these people are not broke. Three of Diamonds people are not broke. You know what I mean? So brokenness is not something you need to have during this Venus retrograde or need to worry about. However, you don't need to worry about anything. But the Three of Diamonds is also worrying about finances. So if you know that you're the type of person to worry about money, note that this Venus retrograde is only going to make it worse and only going to bring it to your attention more, that this is something that you need to deal with. And how do you deal with it? By being creative. You know, I talk to people about this all the time. People that have settled on a particular level in their life and they think that they're broke, they're poor, they don't think that they can do better. This time is going to challenge you. This card is going to challenge you. People are going to challenge you, you know what I mean, during this time, to elevate that thought pattern that you have, because that is the only thing that's keeping you broke and keeping you out of abundance, is your thinking. So if you got a problem with this Venus retrograde, you're going to have a bigger problem, and you're going to have to deal with it once and for all. And you have the opportunity to deal with it, and you have the opportunity to have a satisfactory conclusion to your situation. So again, if you're a worrywart about money, if there are some things that you like to achieve deep down, this is a time to really, really reflect and look at what you need to do to make that happen. You know what I mean? Because Jupiter and Scorpio, you guys, is magic. Jupiter is in Scorpio right now, and that's deep, deep, deep magic. That's deep manifestations of your dreams with the help of the ancestors, with the help of the dead. You are supported, regardless of not whether you think not. And most people who worry about money think exactly that. They think that they're not being supported. They think that there's no support available to them. You know what I mean? And this is anti-gratitude. You know what I mean? Or this is being ungrateful, as my kids like to say. So if you are an ungrateful person, then yes, you're going to have a huge problem during this retrograde. You're going to have a huge problem, and people are going to approach you from all around and force you to deal with your level of ungratefulness or your level of, or your lack of gratitude. They're going to force you to deal with that. That's what happens during the retrograde. You know what I mean? This is a karmic time to go within, and everything around you becomes a mirror on you. It's not about other people and who's out there, and this person has this and this person has that, because jealousy also does exist within the Three of Diamonds. You know what I mean? So this can become a real problem for people, looking at other people, seeing what they have, and wanting to have what they have, but not what they have, and doing and making dumb choices because they think that it's going to bring them closer to what another person has. So this is something else that people are going to be dealing with. So I've been laying it down the line. These are these issues. And if you're honest and truthful and know that you already have these issues, then you have a head start, you can tackle it, and you can begin working on it right away. I wish I could see you guys' conversation. I swear, this is my first live. I'm like, I can't see anybody. But at any rate, this is a good time to work on your money. And if you work on your money, you can come out of this with a nice, healthy sum of money, because the ending date to the retrograde is the Four of Clubs. And the Four of Clubs has a 10 of Diamonds, which is windfalls, large amount of money, in Neptune as a gift, as a spiritual gift. So what the universe is saying to you is if you do the work, if you do the inner work, then this is a time to manifest your dreams. You know what I mean? So I'm going to go back to this retrograde because there's a couple of little things that I've taken notes, and I'm not sharing a note. But one of the things I want you to guys to be really, these are some times that some key dates that you guys have got to be really careful. So I hope you got your pens and you're writing this down. October 15th is when Venus is going to conjunct Mercury. Now, this is very critical because Mercury speeds things up and intensifies things. You know what I mean? So Mercury is like that longing, that mental stuff. You know what I mean? So if Venus retrograde is so intense, because mind you, when any planet goes into retrograde, it gets closer to the Earth and it exerts stronger force. So if you add Mercury to that, it's almost like blasting that energy 10 times. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to be very careful and very well self-aware during that time. That is one key time. And that's also a manifesting day, y'all, strong manifesting. So October 15th, you should start the day with some mantras, some prayers, some vision boards, everything, because you're going to be manifesting the hell out of some stuff during that time. But what we tend to do when we're not focused on it is we tend to think of the exact things we don't want in our lives, and we start manifesting those. So October 15th, that is a day when you want to make sure you clear your calendar, clear your mind, and do some conscious manifestations and see what you can make come out of that. October 26th, Venus is going to actually conjunct the sun in Scorpio. You know what I mean? So that's another intense moment. You may be feeling a lot bolder, or there may be people who feel bolder to approach you, especially if you find yourself doing any type of social activities or whatever. So that's a great time to meet people and to strike up that newness, etc. But don't make any rash decisions and rash choices, because that's about when Venus starts entering the underworld, you guys. Like, oh my God. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to go back to sharing my screen when we look at Cardi B's cards. Hey, you guys. I don't see any chat. So if you guys chatting and asking me questions, you're going to have to hit me up on social media. But however, when Venus goes into the underworld, that's when they say that Venus becomes Lucifer. So this is the time when you should practice celibacy. Unless you're in a relationship with somebody, it could be really hot and heavy. But you definitely don't want to, during this last phase of Venus retrograde, which takes place at the end of October, going into the first 2 weeks of November, you do not want to be engaging in any sexual activity with anybody new or somebody you don't trust. So this is a great time to really take it inward, because this is when Venus descends into the underworld. So esoterically, you're talking about taking it inward. You're talking about withdrawing, especially as a woman, because quote unquote Venus rules women. This is when you're going to be withdrawing. You know what I mean? This is not a good time. This is a really, really dangerous and critical time to be engaging in reckless activities, reckless behavior, and you're definitely going to be drawn to it. You know what I mean? You're going to be drawn to people like, that mother going to be sexy as you know what. And if you already know how you are, and there's key people you need to stay away from, it may be a good time to take and make a list of those people to remind yourself, and maybe put a sticky note on your computer or on your desk or on your phone and say, stay away from these people, at least for that time. You know what I mean? Because you're going to be, your judgment is going to be a little bit off, you know. So again, this is surviving Venus retrograde point 2. That is the last week of October, which is the beginning of Scorpio, the first 2 weeks of November, is a great time to practice celibacy. You know what I mean? Chaste, everything. If you got to pray, whatever you got to do, stay away from bad decisions, because that is when those decisions will come back and haunt you. People have done some, a lot of stuff that they regretted during the retrograde. They've gotten pregnant, they've gotten babies, they've gotten STDs, they've gotten all kind of things during Venus retrograde. You know what I mean? So definitely, this is just about being more consciously aware of yourself and your stuff. And don't set yourself up. You know what I mean? Like, we be setting ourselves up for failure. This may be a time when you may have to make sure that, remember, I said your boundaries. Set up your boundaries, work on your boundaries. And a lot of that is a lot of spiritual enrichment. That's what boundaries, that's what discipline is, you guys. That's what spiritual discipline. So you can set up your boundaries and protect yourself. You know what I mean? So if you know that you tend to drink when you go out, during the retrograde, during Venus retrograde, you may drink a little more. You may get caught up in a situation, so you may want to cut out alcohol. This would be a good time for you to do a detox. Detoxes help you to be able to say no. You know what I mean? Because the card that represents detox, which is the 9 of spades, is also the card that represents no. I thought somebody was asking me some questions. So just remember that. So anyway, I said I was going to talk a little about you guys. I'm so sorry. I said I was going to talk a little bit about Cardi B, because she's definitely experiencing the shadow of Venus retrograde. That is definitely what is impacting her, because number one, Venus is the ruler of her sun. She is a Libra, you know what I mean? And we're in the shadow, and we're also in the shadow of her birthday. Her birthday is going to be coming up in October. So she's in her Neptune period. So this is a lot of spiritual stuff coming up for her, a lot of spiritual lessons in regards to her values and her Venus card. And I'm going to share with you her spread, because I do have it open somewhere. So you guys, I'm going to open up her spread. And where is she at? Cardi B. There she goes. So this is her spread, you guys. And let me pull up what you can see. You can hold on a minute. And you guys, that's why I've stayed off YouTube long, because I like to teach when I'm talking. Like, I want you guys to learn this stuff. So anyway, Cardi B is a Jack of Clubs. And by the way, you guys, Jack of Clubs is one of my favorite cards, because the Jack of Clubs is also the card of hip hop. It represents hip hop and the hip hop generation. And there's some key things that are going on with Cardi right now, like when I'm looking at her cards. First of all, she's about to move into her Mars years. And in cardology, every 13 years is a cycle. So you start out in your Mercury cycle, which is a 9 of diamonds, right? And a 9 of diamonds for a Jack of Clubs a lot of times means growing up in poverty. For other people, it could potentially mean somebody's growing up in wealth, because 9 of diamonds is a wealth card, but 9 times out of 10 is growing up in poverty, right? And then you have your next 13 years, which is your Venus years, which is she has a 7 of spades. Now, mind you, she's been in her Venus year, and the 7 of spades is definitely the card of having your dreams come true in some form of fashion. So to some degree, she has achieved some dreams. I mean, she got some major music play, made major money, and she even got married. You know what I mean? And got somebody she loved. Whether or not that person is right for her or whatever, that's not the question. The question is, she obtained the dream of being what she felt, of being in a loved, or being in a love relationship. Because remember, she's a Libra. Libras like to be in relationships. You know what I mean? However, she's getting ready to go into her next 13 years, which is her Mars years. And already that heat has started coming on. Her Mars card for life is the Two of Clubs, which is the card of fear and arguing. You know what I mean? So the Two of Clubs can be a very successful card, don't get me wrong, but it could also be a very deadly card. You know what I mean? Because people tend to lose their lives during their Mars period with the Two of Clubs, because that is the card of saying, like, if you argue and fight, somebody's playing for keeps. You know what I mean? So this is a time that is very crucial that she gets to work deep with her fears, because the Two of Clubs is a card of fears. This is deep, deep, deep fears. It's triggers. You know what I mean? So people trigger you, and when they trigger you, you ready to throw your hands. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, the Two of Clubs deals with the law of cause and effect. It deals with karma very, very, very seriously and harshly. You know what I mean? So it's like when you choose to fight during that time, there are going to be consequences. It's like certain times in your life you can do things and the consequences are not that severe. You get away with it. But then there's a time in your life when you step into a point of your life where the consequences become serious, really serious. You know what I mean? So whether it's throwing your hands, arguing, fighting, whatever, it's like this is the time when everything is playing for keeps. And this is the time that she's entering on her birthday. She will be in the first day of her Mars cycle in cardology. So judging from how she is right now, she's going to be a lot more feisty. You know what I mean? And there's going to be a lot more opposition to that feistiness. Like people are not just going to sit back and whatever. There's going to actually be some contention there because of that Two of Clubs. So, but however, this card is Mercury to the King of Clubs. And the King of Clubs, you guys, is like the card of living your best life. But it's also the card of really achieving that level of mastery in your life and being able to consume information, being able to consume messages that come from spirit, like spiritual downloads, right? So this is when she's going to be getting spiritual downloads. And hopefully that is going to impact the way she communicates. But however, the King of Clubs is snappy with their mouth. You know what I mean? So her mouth is going to get more snappier, and she's going to face people who are more snappier. She's going to face exactly what she puts out. So if she becomes more conscious and puts out good words and good things and balance and works on integrating spiritual thought and stuff into her life, then that is what she's going to draw into her life. The Two of Clubs is, any two is about drawing what is within. You know what I mean? So you have to take the time to work within when you're a two, because you tend to draw and mirror exactly what you got going on the inside of you. It's undeniable. You know what I mean? So as a Two of Clubs, she's going to have to work on her level of positivity and her speech and her communication. You know what I mean? Because whatever communication she puts out is going to be the same sentiment that she gets back. If she puts out positive communication with people and really gets along with people, then people are going to love her and do the same for her. But if she says negative things, then negativity is going to surround and consume her. You know what I mean? There's no getting away from that. And that's just in her cards. But she has the opportunity to elevate into this King of Clubs, which is becoming a teacher, becoming a wise leader that is recognized for what she does and honored by the time she hits her Jupiter years, which is in her 40s. Mind you guys, Oprah Winfrey is a Jack of Clubs. So there's some cool people. There's some great people that are Jack of Clubs. Tyler Perry is a Jack of Clubs. You know what I mean? So they really have to watch their communication style. But the Jack of Clubs is usually very creative in how they express themselves. Like they can say something that is so funny. They have a great sense of humor, because both of these cards are very humorous, the Two of Clubs and the King of Clubs. And that's kind of where Cardi That's how she got to be where she is, because when she's been doing those videos, she's very comical, very humorous, very snappy, very witty. And that is the trademark of a Jack of Clubs. Can be very, very, very witty, because they can be creative with the words that they say. You know what I mean? But she's going to have to start being more consciously creative, meaning integrating positive things into the things she says, because these are the things that will manifest into her life. And she can learn how powerful her own words are. You know what I mean? Because when she's putting out good stuff and good stuff is coming back to her, she's going to see the results of what she's saying. So, you know, that's where she is right now. And the catalyst, or I guess you can say the antagonist to her right now, of course, is Nicki Minaj. Because in everybody's life, in everybody's play, there's always an antagonist. And this antagonist is in your life to bring internal change. They're not there to victimize you. They're there to bring internal change, because it's absolutely critical that you make these changes in your life. So fast forward, we got Nikki, and I'm going to pull up Nikki's cards. Nikki is a 10 of clubs, you guys. And if you guys could see her cards, you should be able to see them by now. Nikki is a 10 of clubs. And 10 of clubs people are very blessed. When I say very blessed, they are very blessed. That's one of the princess cards, or the prince cards, because you got the 10s. Those are the princes or princesses of the deck. You know what I mean? But if you look at the spread of the 10 of clubs, it is filled with powerful cards. She has an 8 of diamonds and Mercury. She has a king of spades and Venus, meaning she could kill somebody. You know what I mean? Because that's the God card. And she has a 3 of hearts and Mars. And you guys, 3 of hearts on the negative side is very petty. Like, when somebody has a 3 of hearts, they can be extremely petty. Like, they can do some petty shit. You know what I mean? And not feel no kind of way about it. The Ace of Clubs. She has an Ace of Clubs in Jupiter, and she is about to enter her Jupiter years, if she hasn't entered it right now, becoming an Ace of Clubs. You know what I mean? So she's going to expand her knowledge. Her what she knows is going to expand. She's going to become more self-aware, more conscious about things. She's going to ask more questions. She's going to be more antagonistic about things. You know what I mean? And she's going to be more determined, because them aces are determined, you know. She's going to be more creative and be more business minded. You might see her at this time expand into other things. You'll start seeing her do more business related stuff, maybe focus more on her fragrance or makeup, because Ace of Clubs, a lot of times for women, does go into the line of makeup and beauty products, etc. Because what's her name? Kim Kardashian is an Ace of Clubs. You know what I mean? But this is a period in which she's going to make a major transformation in her reputation. Her reputation is going to be super important for her going into her Jupiter years as an Ace of Clubs. She's not going to want any fuckery or bullshit going on in her life, right? to tarnish her reputation. This is going to be the time when that's really important. During our Mars years as a 3 of hearts, they don't really care. You know what I mean? About so much about that. But as an Ace of Clubs, her reputation is going to become more and more and more important as she nears her 50s. And that's when she starts getting into her Saturn, just being a Queen of Clubs. You know what I mean? So she's undergoing some transformation too, and some maturity in her life. And she's the catalyst to Cardi B, because quite frankly, she done been through it all. You know what I mean? And not only that, but she's strong enough to step up to the plate, you know, because what this does is forces her to now communicate. Because if you guys notice, she now has a radio. She's got Queen Radio, and she's becoming more vocal and talking. And this is going to force her to communicate as well, and to share her ideas in a way that's outside of music, outside of rapping, but just life in general. How does she feel about life? Who knew that who knew this before all of this? I didn't know. It's like I've been hearing her talk more and more and more. And who knew she felt like this about this and that, because you only get her music side of her. You know what I mean? But now you're going to be getting more informative side, more Nikki, more real Nikki. Like, oh, okay, this is Nikki. Okay, okay. And you're going to be getting a lot of that. So both of them, by law of attraction, were brought together because they are now learning lessons in communication. You know what I mean? In communicating and learning in this new phase. So they're very much alike, even though they're different cards. So there you go. But I'm going to go into their combination card real quick because you guys, everybody has a relationship card. You know what I mean? So whoever you get into a relationship with, this person is, and not even just a relationship, this could be your enemy. I don't know if you guys realize this, but even you have a relationship with your enemies, or the people you think is your enemies. You know what I mean? So they're not just some random person. So a lot of times when I do relationship readings, people are just thinking, well, this is just a reading between two people that quote unquote love each other or like each other. No, this is your business partner. This is somebody, your friend. This is somebody, your enemy. What is the underlying energy between you two? So for Nikki and for Cardi, the underlying energy between them two is the Eight of Spades, which is the card of overcoming obstacles and power and willfulness. So it's a huge power struggle going on with this energy between them. And this energy can be really volatile, and it's not going to be consistent. You know what I mean? This is the type of energy where you can have a superficial liking for one another, but it could change up and you could say some really negative, nasty things about one another. And that's exactly what's going on. So if you have this relationship, if you want to find out what your card or relationship between another person is, you can go to my website under cardology and click on relationships, and you can put your card in and their card. Of course, you have to get the cards first. So you go to the website and you put the birthdays in to get the cards, and you put it in the calculator, and you can see the card energy between each two. So as you can see, they have an Eight of Spades, which has a Seven of Clubs, Pluto. And you guys, the Seven of Clubs is the card of gossip and slander. You know what I mean? And in Pluto, that means like secret shit, like backbiting shit. So that is the heart of this type of relationship, is gossip and slander happens, or somebody he says, she says, that sends everything into a whirlwind because it's next to the Five of Diamonds, which is changes. And changes in work, changes in lifestyle. And that Five of Diamonds can be like a fighting kind of card. Like this energy right here, this combination, because it's an Eight of Spades, it involves physical fighting. You know what I mean? So these two people can definitely get physical. But this card has a Nine of Hearts in Neptune. You know what I mean? So the behind the scenes, this can bring some sadness for both sides. Like both sides might be really disappointed about this shit. Really genuinely sad that it's even happening. You know what I mean? And apologetic, because the Nine of Hearts is the card of apologies. So behind the scenes, one or the other may want to apologize or be apologetic. Definitely seeing how this is impacting how other people are seeing them. Because in Neptune, that's the thing. You don't tend to see what other people are seeing in Neptune. You tend to see an illusion. You know what I mean? But the nines bring reality to illusion. So breaks the illusion of things and lets you know that this shit is real. You know what I mean? Like we really got a problem. And this thing has a Three of Clubs in Saturn. You know what I mean? And that's fears, like fears about the future, fears about their career. You know what I mean? Each one of them, both of them are going to have fears about their career. And when they come together, that's going to be the major catalyst for shit. You know what I mean? One person's going to fear that this person is impacting their career in a negative way. The other person's going to feel that this person is impacting their career in a negative way. And that's where the problems kind of erupt out of, right there with that 3 of clubs and Saturn. So this is a real, and it starts out with aces. So each one wants to be the one, because that's what happens with aces, you guys. Aces want to be the center of attention. They want to be the one. You know what I mean? I want to be the one. I want to be the one on top. I want to be ruling. I want to be the best rapper. I want to be the one there's no room for two people when you have aces. So you have that in the beginning of this relationship. However, as it evolves, it does grow, because it ends with the 9 of diamonds, which is like a high level of maturity. You know what I mean? Becoming a philanthropist and teaching, because a 9 of diamonds, a lot of 9 of diamonds are teachers, because it has a king of clubs in Mars. So teaching people about what they've been through and leading them in a direction away from that, saying you don't have to be like I was. You know what I mean? So that's where these young ladies would be headed if, you know, quote unquote, they made it that far through this type of relationship. You know what I mean? So anyway, so that's what's going on with them. And it's going on at a key time for, and that's why I brought it up now, because it's going on at a key time for Cardi, because right now we're in the shadow of Venus retrograde. So this is about what's important to Cardi. She's going to have to start looking at what's important to her. Her daughter is important to her. Her career is important to her. And those things have to be more important than beef. You know what I mean? And she's going to have to look for other solutions to grow and to make a change in her philosophy, you know? So she's going to have to, that ace of clubs that Nikki brings is new knowledge, new information, spiritual information. It's time for her to get in her spiritual stuff. You know what I mean? She got the money. Now she wants to keep the money, and she wants to keep the what's going on. She wants to keep the things that she has. Now she has to do some spiritual work. And that's the message that her daughter brought to her, because her daughter is a 5 of diamonds. And her daughter brings messages of change, because the 5 of diamonds is about change. So her daughter's message to her is like, mommy, now you got to change your lifestyle. You got to start getting serious about you. You got to start loving you. And that's what the message that her daughter brings to her. When you have a child, your child brings new card energy to you, and they bring messages to you. So your child's, whatever your child's card is, that is your message for the time. So her child being a 5 of diamonds is, mommy, it's time to now mature. Mommy, it's time to make the changes that you've been afraid to make. Mommy, it's time to free yourself from the past and look towards the future, and know that you have the power to make the future the way that you want to make it, just by going within, just by making those inner changes. And that's the lesson of the 5 of diamonds. So I hope you guys got my little Venus retrograde message. If you have any questions, again, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. I like to try to answer questions when I can. And I also hold lives more regularly on Facebook, where I'm able to answer questions. But thank you for tuning into my little Venus retrograde forecast. And remember what I said, stay clean, stay good, get your guard up. And the last portion of Venus retrograde, stay away from the you know what. Peace.